Hey, it's B. I'm back. This week has been nonstop again, and I know I say that a lot, but I think I'm finally realizing maybe life doesn't actually slow down the way I always imagined it would. I used to think there would be this magical point where suddenly I have all this free time, and like one day I wake up and work would be calm and responsibilities would just settle down and I finally have some space to make some art. Nope, that's not the case. But real life doesn't really work that way. There's always another project, there's always another event, there's always a meeting, another thing somebody needs from you. And somehow I still keep trying to create things in the middle of all of it. At work this week, I had to create another chalkboard sign for the country store to promote strawberry ice cream. And honestly, I love doing it. I think people underestimate how much little creative projects matter. Even something simple like a sign. I sat there sketching ideas first because I don't want to just randomly start, which I have before. It didn't turn out so great, but I needed inspiration. So I was looking online, scrolling through Pinterest. Suddenly, I was looking at like layouts, colors, letterings, trying to figure out the feeling before I touched the board. That's kind of how my brain works. I needed to see it in my head first. And then once I finally started, I got into the zone where just time disappeared for a little bit. And some of the smaller text though came out a little weird and slightly crooked or cramped. But I swear artists notice things that nobody else does. So I think normal people just walk past it and think, oh yeah, that's a nice sign. Meanwhile, I'm just staring at that one letter that could have been a little bit, less crooked. And sometimes, honestly, it's exhausting. Anyway, but after finishing the board, my brain immediately shifted into thinking about my next portrait. There's a resident that I've interviewed a while ago, probably a year and a half ago, and he has one of those faces that instantly makes you want to paint them. So much life in it, so much character, the wrinkles, the structure, the eyes. I love faces like that because they tell stories before the person even speaks. And I started sketching him out and asking if I could photograph him for reference. And I got really excited because I already knew I wanted this portrait to feel loose and emotional and textured. But the second I started getting excited about painting, guess what? Work got crazy, of course, because we had Cinco de Mayo event coming up and we had 2 performances that week. One with the local high school mariachi band, and honestly, they were incredible, freaking amazing, genuinely talented. The residents absolutely loved them. And seeing moments like that always remind me why I care so much about what I do. Because sometimes residents are sitting there smiling, clapping, laughing, and for a moment, they're not thinking about aging or health issues or loneliness or loss, just enjoying the moment. And I think that matters more than people realize. But putting events together is a lot. It's a lot. So a lot of blood and sweat, decorating, scheduling, setting up spaces, moving tables, fixing last minute problems, running around constantly, and sometimes, somehow, you just still have to smile through it all and make it look effortless. I was exhausted by the end of the week, and it's funny because while all this is happening, my brain is still thinking about art constantly. While I was working, I still mentally compose paintings. I know that sounds really weird, but I think about when am I gonna do the gessoing? When am I do the sketching? When am I gonna, how is the face gonna look? Am I use the same colors? Just my mind just starts getting obsessive. And just thinking about the next time I'm able to actually start painting. And then randomly, I bought a one-wheeler, which honestly feels so unlike me, but also feels very at the same time, because I realize I need something that forces me outside. I spend so much time indoors working on paintings or just work, and painting takes hours. People don't always realize that part either. You don't just sit down for 20 minutes and magically make a painting. Sometimes you sit there for 6 hours straight obsessing over an eyeball, and then suddenly it's nighttime and the routine happens again. And so I don't know, I kept thinking I just need to be challenged, and I know this would be very challenging, and I need to move. I need sunlight. I need air. I need to stop living only inside my head. Sometimes it's so nice and cozy in there, but I need to get out. So now I'm trying to learn how to ride this thing, and honestly, I'm terrible at it. Not too terrible, but I don't know, terrible enough. But weirdly, I love it. I think there's something important about being bad at things, especially as an adult, because adults stop learning new things once they're afraid of looking stupid, like really stupid. I mean, I'm 40 years old, so I know what that feeling is. And I already know I look ridiculous on this thing, but I don't care, or at least I'm trying not to care. I want to keep learning. I want to keep challenging myself physically and creatively and mentally, even if I fall, even if I suck at it for a while, because eventually one day it won't feel impossible anymore. And honestly, I think painting taught me that you don't become good overnight. You keep showing up, even when you're frustrated, even when you're tired, or even when like your work doesn't look how you imagined. And that happens, and you just keep going. I've also been trying to grow this tiny herb section in my kitchen window, which sounds so small and random, but I think I'm just craving, the season, things of the season. Plants, sunlight, summer's coming up, so I don't know, just exploring different things. I think work can consume you if you let it, and I love my work, I really do, but I am also trying not to lose myself inside of responsibilities all the time, and that's hard for me because I naturally throw everything into what I do. So I'm kind of like the go-to person at work, it feels like, and so I don't know, I gotta do me, So by the time Saturday morning came around and I finally sat down to start painting Mr. F, something shifted. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because it was my time, my time, and I get to choose what I want to do on my time. I was relaxed, like really genuinely relaxed. I wasn't rushing, I wasn't stressed. I just was not answering any emails or solving anybody else's problems. I was just painting. And I noticed my brush strokes got looser, more emotional, less controlled. And honestly, I think those are always my best paintings. The ones where I stopped trying so hard. And you can tell, I know I can tell when I'm trying so hard that the painting starts to look really stiff. And I don't know, because painting is one place where I could regroup mentally. That's where I process life. That's where I breathe again. And I think that's why I keep coming back to it no matter how busy life gets. Because even when I'm exhausted, and even when I can barely have time, and even when life feels really heavy, and I hate it when it feels heavy, art still feels like home to me. So right now, I'm trying to figure out how to balance all of this: work, painting, health, movement, rest, and life. And honestly, I don't fully know how yet, but I think maybe the point isn't mastering balance perfectly, but maybe it's just continuing to show up for yourself, for others, mostly yourself. And little by little, maybe that's just enough for now. So I'm still working on this painting, and you want to see what it looks like finished, come back and see where this goes, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.